Robbie Lawler versus Neil Magny took place in the co-main event of UFC Fight Night Vegas 8, Smith versus Rakic, and the whole event has just wrapped up, but let's talk about Lawler versus Magny. The co-main event of the fight night, it was originally supposed to be Jeff Neal versus Neil Magny. Jeff Neal pulls out, Robbie Lawler steps in. Thank you, Robbie Lawler, for saving the event, because it still made this somewhat of a good card, because listen, if it was still Jeff Neal versus Neil Magny and Jeff Neal dropped out and Neil Magny didn't have a place on this card and Robbie Lawler didn't step up to take this on short notice and we lost Kutalaba versus Ankleev, this card would have hit the this card would have been terrible if that were the case. So thank you, Robbie Lawler, for being the legend that you are and stepping up and saving this card on short notice and making the co-main event look really good on paper. But in the performance, I'm not going to be thanking Robbie Lawler too much. I picked Neil Magny to win this bout against Robbie Lawler. I said Neil Magny was going to dominate every single round by being too rangy. He was outranging. I said he was going to outrange Lawler on the feet. I said he was going to out-clinch Lawler in the clinch. I said he was going to out-grapple Lawler in the grappling. Pretty much exactly what happened for 3 rounds. You don't win fights on short notice, really, when you're a guy that has to go out there and get a KO in the first round in Lawler. And he hasn't had a KO since 2015, and that was cumulative damage in the 5th round against Rory McDonald. I just didn't think the odds were good enough to pick Robbie Lawler to win by first round KO, because I knew in myself that that was the only way Lawler was going to win. And Neil Magny's about 2 weight divisions above him by the looks of things. I couldn't believe how much bigger Magny was. And I picked Magny to win. I thought Magny was going to dominate every single round, but still, I didn't think... He didn't even look skinnier than Lawler in there. That was the weirdest part about it. It's not like he was taller than Lawler because he was all skin and bone. Like, I can see how Adesanya and someone who's a bit more shorter and stockier can be the same weight division because he's so skinny. But Neil Magny is not particularly as skinny as you would imagine for a guy who is towering above Robbie Lawler in there. He's a huge, huge welterweight, and he's dangerous in that clinch, and he's just so strong. But I do want to say this. Although Neil Magny was doing good, he was landing good shots on the feet, he looked crisp in the striking, his defense was on point, his takedowns were good, he didn't really do too much with the positions, but he had some good back control at some point in the fight, he kept good half guard position as well, he stopped Lawler from getting back up, he stuck to Lawler like glue in the clinch, landed some good knees in the clinch, some good elbows as well, never let Robbie Lawler settle down and start teeing off. I will say this. Robbie Lawler looked like shit, and Robbie Lawler looked like a guy who was spent and doesn't care anymore, and just doesn't have that, get out of the takedown, doesn't have that, double underhooks, shake you off of me and return to the feet, and go for the KO punch. He doesn't seem to have that same, And I know that Brett Okamoto put out a tweet that says that Robbie Lawler still looks good, and it just goes to show how good Magny is. Don't listen to anything MMA reporters have to say. Listen to this fucking guy, because I have no affiliation with any of the fighters, and Brett Okamoto full well knows that he's going to have to sit across from Robbie Lawler if Lawler fights again and give him an interview, so he's just trying to be nice to both sides. That's not what we do on the MMA Guru channel. We give it how it is. Robbie Lawler looked like absolute shit. He looked like absolute shit. And he took a long time off. He took it on short notice. There were a lot of reasons to look shit. There were a lot of excuses to look shit. Long time off, short notice, had a lot of knee surgeries in his career, pretty much has no ligaments left in his knees, has some back issues in his career. Probably not too committed to the fight game right now under the current circumstances as well. But you know what? He didn't look good. He did not look good. There were many a moment in that fight where the old Lawler would have exploded and escaped. Not even the old Lawler. Where the Lawler of a year ago, or 2 years ago, would have gotten out of those positions and escaped. There was a moment in the second round, I believe it was, when Lawler literally just could have walked out of the takedown attempt. Like, it was a free option for Lawler to escape, and he just didn't seem to go for it anymore. Like, he just doesn't seem to have that burst of energy that a young fighter in their prime has. He doesn't have that same shake you off approach. Like, he was just staying calm and patient. But listen, you can stay calm and patient all you fucking want. You're losing this round. He's got your back, Lawler. You've got to do something here. You can't just not get finished. And that's kind of what we saw against Tyron Woodley against Gilbert Burns. That's exactly what we saw. I saw a guy in Tyron Woodley trying not to get finished. And I hate to say it, but it looked like Lawler was kind of doing the same thing. But you know what? He got his show money. It wasn't the best fight in the world. Neil Magny's not going to win over a ton of fans, but he is going to win a couple of fights. That's for damn sure. Neil Magny is a dangerous man in that division. I just didn't see what I wanted to from Lawler in certain positions. Even in the first round, didn't he instigate the takedown in the first round in the clinch? Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? I get it, you've been out for a while, but come on. Instigating the grappling on Magny, there was no urgency to escape the clinch, even in the third round when all was on the line, and the old Lawler, remember 5th round Lawler, the legend of 5th round Lawler that would always come back with ferocity in the final round of fights, going for broke and leaving it all on the line? Just didn't see that in the third. Like, he just kept throwing the same head kick 4 times over in the third. Every single time it missed, Magny saw it coming every single time. Didn't seem to have too much urgency. I like Robbie Lawler, but I'm just saying it how it is. He looked like a guy who don't give a fuck no more. Got his show money, didn't get finished and looked bad. Got held to the ground, and he can tell that to his friends. Oh, he just held me against a cage and held me. Don't like it. Don't like what I saw from Lawler. Big fan from Lawler. Big fan. I was cheering for Lawler the whole time. I picked Magny to win. I wanted my prediction to be correct because I thought it was going to be correct. 3 rounds all to Magny. But I wanted Lawler to win. I was rooting for him every single time he went forward, and he did land some good combinations. And at one point in the fight, Neil Magny actually pulled guard at a certain point. I believe it was in the second round. Robbie Lawler landed a good lead hook on Neil Magny, and Magny just pulled guard straight away afterwards. So I'm assuming that means that Magny probably got at least somewhat rocked by that punch. Maybe not completely concussed, but he definitely felt the shot. You don't normally pull guard against a guy like Robbie Lawler in the second round of a fight where you're winning the grappling exchange. Doesn't seem to make too much sense to allow a guy like Lawler, who's urgent for a win and a comeback, to be on top of you. So he must have got clipped, but still, I didn't see what I needed to see out of Lawler to tell me that he's going to stick around and be a good fighter. But I don't think they cut him. I don't think he retires. I think he's probably going to fight again. There's big name fights out there outside the rankings at welterweight. I can't think of a better division. Outside the rankings at welterweight might be the best outside the rankings of any division ever. Honestly, outside the rankings at welterweight is big. Big right now. You've got Mike Perry. You've got Nico Price taking on Donald Cerrone. The winner of that one, let's say Donald Cerrone beats Nico Price, could take on Robbie Lawler. Let's say Nico Price loses to Donald Cerrone. Nico Price could take on Robbie Lawler. Both of them will be coming off losses there. I know Anthony Pettis wants to take on Khamzat Chimaev. If he doesn't want to do that, he could take on Robbie Lawler. Both of those guys. I mean, technically, Anthony Pettis is coming off a win against Cerrone, even though I thought he lost. But still, Pettis versus Lawler makes sense. There's a lot of mashups to make, but I just didn't see the Lawler that I used to know. Didn't see any urgency. I didn't see any attempt to escape positions. I just saw a guy who accepted bad positions and just didn't want to get finished from him. And it was really unfortunate to see. But good job, Neil Magny. Let's focus on that. Great performance from Neil Magny. Won every single round. Not the best Lawler I've ever seen. I know a lot of people are going to act like Lawler's still got it, man, but I don't know, dude. It's going to take a lot of convincing to me before I start picking Lawler again in fights. Didn't pick him in this one. It seemed to pay off. Neil Magny got the job done. He gets better as the fight goes on as well. But then again, Lawler did take this fight on short notice. So, of course, he was going to get better as the fight went on. But Neil Magny looked good. Next for Neil Magny, I don't think he's earned too huge of a jump up for taking on Lawler on short notice that didn't look like Lawler. I think a Neil Magny versus Jeff Neal rebooking would be great. Stay active, Magny. You didn't take any damage here whatsoever. I mean, I think he might have taken about 5 big clean shots the entire fight and didn't really get concussed by any of them. So I say this to Magny. Stay active. Fight before the end of the year. Let's see Magny versus Jeff Neal headline the prelims of UFC 255, the card that Nunes versus Megan Anderson is on. Give that card a little bit of help. There's good matchups to make. And Robbie Lawler, I say stay active as well. Turn right back around. Get another paycheck. Call out Mike Perry. Don't call him out because that's not what Robbie Lawler does. Get a fight with Mike Perry, Nico Price, Donald Cerrone, James Krause, bunch of names out. James Krause, not maybe to be included in the list that I just laid out for you guys, but still, good names all round. Maybe even a Robbie Lawler versus Damian Maia. Judging by the Magny fight, when Magny had his back, I don't think that would be a good matchup for Robbie Lawler right now in his career, but you know what? Lawler fought. He I don't know. It's just unfortunate to watch a guy that you know could have done better a year or two ago. It just didn't look good, in my opinion. And a lot of people are going to act like I'm shitting on Lawler here, and I should be a bit more appreciating of him in a loss and shouldn't just pile onto him after a loss. But just saying what I saw, he didn't look the same whatsoever. Did not look the same whatsoever. But that welterweight division right now, with Neil Magny getting a big win in a co-main event, is hot. Vicente Luque, Jeff Neal, Neil Magny, Khamzat Chimaev on the come up. We still got Mike Perry. Kevin Holland might still make a move down to 170 as well. There are a bunch of guys. Daniel Rodriguez, 3-0 at 170. Just had a big win against Dwight Grant. Miguel Beza is taking on Mickey Gall. If he wins that one, he also will be 3-0. Welterweight is full of savages. It's one of the best divisions in the UFC right now by far. And Neil Magny just got a big win against a ranked opponent. I mean, Jeff Neal hasn't got a win against a ranked opponent, and he's somehow ranked higher than Magny, so Magny's got a big win over a ranked opponent. I think it does well for Magny in the rankings. He looks really good. I was really impressed by him, but, you know, unimpressed by Lawler. Let's just say that, to say the least, you know. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. It was a good card overall. Had some good fights. I'm glad that this fight was still on the card, as I said before, because without Ankalaev Kutalaba, this whole card could have been a bit of a shambles, especially with finishing on that kind of main event where there wasn't a lot of action. Don't get me wrong, the co-main event, there wasn't a lot. You know what? Alexa Grasso versus Yi Yon Kim embarrassed the main and co-main event in terms of action. Alexa Grasso versus Yi Yon Kim was more exciting than Robbie Lawler versus Neil Magny. Listen to the words that I'm saying to you. Alexa Grasso versus Yi Yon Kim was more exciting than Robbie Lawler versus Neil Magny and Alexander Rakic versus Anthony Smith, dare I say combined? I mean, what the fuck? Like and subscribe. Click that button there. Goodbye. Another correct prediction from me, but I'm not really going to take too much credit for it. Lawler looked like shit.